evening, everyone, and welcome to Think Future. My name is Chris Calabucas, and once again, we're coming at you live from deep, deep, deep in the heart of Silicon Valley, California. We're talking innovation, startups, the future, not necessarily those, and not necessarily in that order, because today we're actually talking about AI again. Oh my God! Are we surprised? Are you surprised that we're talking about AI again? Because that is the only thing that anybody is ever talking about. If you're watching on YouTube, smack that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified when a new show comes online. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast service, please subscribe and please drop a note on Apple Podcasts. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Come on, people. I know you're out there. Speak. This is not a lecture. It's a conversation. I used to use that on my old show. So, are we any closer? I don't know about you, but I'm a philosopher as well. I have a philosophy degree, and I've always been interested in philosophy. I've always been interested in the underlying knowledge of humanity, of understanding how we should live, understanding the world, understanding everything around philosophy. And one of the things that philosophers really, really strive to get to is truth. Truth. And I was reading an article the other day. We were talking about how AI will drive us into a post-truth society. And I thought to myself, wow, where have you been? Where have you been? As far as I'm concerned, we're already in a post-truth society. Now, I wish we were in this post-scarcity society, but no, we are in a post-truth society. We are already in a place where we cannot believe what we see because everything that we see has been mediated by a media that makes the decisions on what we're going to see. For example, the entire debacle around the sub that was lost near the Titanic. Apparently, it was known immediately after contact was lost that all of the folks on the sub perished. It imploded. Immediately, right away. But that information didn't get released for days and days and days. For the longest time, people were talking about what's happening on the sub. Are they able to save them? Daring rescue missions, story after story after story after story on this submarine, which had already imploded. But the news cycle was full discussing this sub, even though all the producers, everybody behind it, knew that it was already gone, knew that these people were already dead. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you about truth? What does that tell you about reality? What does that tell you about what we're being told? If they can do something like this for a blatantly false thing, I mean, it is absolutely false. They knew it had imploded right away, immediately after they'd lost contact. They knew it was gone. But they proceeded to tell a story. Days and days and days of story, making people think that it was actually still true, that there was a slim chance that they could be rescued. So what does that tell you? If they're doing it for that story, I mean, who knows? We can no longer believe anything that we see unless it's in front of us. See, smell, hear, taste. Our personal senses are they the only ones that we can trust? Because everything that we see through these screens, everything we see through our phones, everything is suspect. Is suspect. And people wonder, why is the media has such a low trust level? I don't know. What do you think? Maybe because you've been lying to us all this time? So my hope is that we're going to get to a point where there will be better access to the truth. Because if we're getting it seems like we're getting no access to the truth, and the truth is being deliberately suppressed. I don't know why. But the truth is being deliberately suppressed. And if you think about it, I mean, people say that, oh yeah, well, it's worse than ever. Yeah, it is kind of worse than ever because we can create all sorts of news to paper over, all sorts of fake news to paper over things that are going on. Because if there's things that are going on that that they don't want released, then those things, like things like the Queen. How long was the Queen ill? Was the Queen ill for all this time? Did they pick a date for the Queen to die? Did the Queen actually die earlier? I mean, there's no reason not to question these kinds of things, right? There's no need not to question all of this stuff that you like. If this is false, if the sub-story is false, what else could be false? And the problem is AI is complicit in this because people are using AI to create fake stories. They're using AI to create better looking fake stories. But the problem is that I wish we would use AI to actually get us to the truth more. And what's happening is we're seeing this huge disparity between the truth and what we're being fed. So here's another challenge for your startup founder out there. Human beings. And I think Twitter does somewhat of a good job with this because I think that's one of the reasons why it grew so quickly back when it was first founded in 2008 was that it was a direct connection between a person on the ground and the world. It didn't go through all the media filters. It didn't go through the storytelling contraption that everything seems to go through. Like, what are we trying to say here? Instead of, let's just report the truth. Let's just report what's going on. No, it's like, what are we trying to say here? We need some type of media which is remove those filters, which takes reality and presents reality, takes truth and presents truth. Now, can we get 100% truth? Probably not. But we can get closer to the truth than ever before. And I think the only way for us to get closer to the truth is if we build that conduit between somebody who's actually there, remember what I said before, the senses. Someone whose senses are actually there. And without agenda, communicating that out. And I think I've said that before. This is the job of a reporter, not a journalist. A reporter reports. Remember when Fox News used to have, we report, you decide, and they eliminated that? Well, that's what we need to go back to. We need to go back to, we report, you decide. Instead of trying to shape events by putting stories together, which may or may not be fake, we need reality. We need something closer to the truth to be disseminated. We need boots on the ground who are actually experiencing this with their own senses to spread the word for everyone else. And if that's Twitter, great. We need more of that. But I think until we get that direct conduit between somebody who's there and us, we'll never know the real truth because it could be yet another sub. That's it for me for today. See you next time, and until then, don't forget to think future.